Hi all, this is Jan Almighty and welcome to this video. So today I decided to show you a game from the US Championship since yesterday I covered two games from the Kojima Memorial, also known as the Shanker Chess Tournament. Today it is a rest day on both tournaments, so I looked into what actually happened yesterday in round 6, and we had a very interesting game between Fabiano Caruana and Ray Robson. Okay, Ray Robson was with white pieces and Fabiano Caruana is with black pieces. And something that kind of became a trend throughout this year, starting at candidates, Caruana decided to play the Petrov Defense, and he also plays it in this game. So let me show you. We have e4, e5, knight to f3, and knight to f6. It seems that throughout the year, probably Caruana will be preparing and increasing his knowledge and strength of the Petrov Defense, so that maybe in the end of the year, in November, he will be ready for the World Championship match and his Petrov game will be at the top level. Here, Ray goes for the similar variation which Caruana played against Kramnik in the candidates tournament this year. So after this knight captures on c3 and d captures on c3, this is something called a Nimzovich attack. White once again opens up his bishops. He will play queen to d2 and probably at some point go queenside castle. On the other hand, black will go kingside castle, and then as Caruana is known to be playing this Russian game, he tends to play different types of moves with each player. So let's see what happened in this game. After bishop to e7, we saw bishop to e3 and kingside castle. So queen to d2, knight to d7, and now queenside castle. So both of the players just developed the pieces. And now Caruana decides to pick up some space in the center. He plays c6, king to b1, and d5. So king to b1, always a good move to play if you're queenside castle. Move out of this diagonal, because when you move the bishop to g5 can always be some kind of a annoying threat. So king to b1, not just moving from this diagonal, but also being guarded by all of these pawns, because queen to a5 is also a possible move at some point, attacking on a2 and maybe something else with the tempo. But now Robson decides to challenge the center that Caruana made. He plays c4. Knight to b6, and now a couple of exchanges. Pawn captures, knight captures on d5, and after this, bishop captures on bishop comes on c4. You probably don't want to go right away into this variation, because bishop to d4 will be played, and after bishop to d3, all of white efforts throughout the game will be actually just pointed towards this isolated pawn. So here Caruana played correctly, he captured with the knight. But after bishop to c4, he decided not to capture the dark square bishop. He played bishop to f5, so continuing with the development. But also one other thing, bishop captures to d5, pawn captures, and queen captures. He gave up a pawn. So he gave up a pawn, now he has the bishop pair, and he just wants to continue with the attack. He plays queen to c8. So now with this move, he is defending this bishop, moving the queen out of the way so that she isn't exchanged, and he is making threats to capture on c2. So now knight to d4 was played and bishop to g6, so keeping the bishop on this diagonal. King to a1, moving the king from the diagonal so that the c3 can be played at some point. We have rook to e8, and now rook from h to e1. Both players just developing rooks, and now bishop to f6. Now these bishops are very strong on these diagonals, and this could be problematic for white. So he needs to find a plan. What actually he needs to do in order to improve his game. He plays c3 to stabilize the center, and now rook to e5 was played by Caruana. One move that actually comes to mind is bishop to e4 now, because the queen would be attacked. When the queen moves, you can capture on g2. So this is a possibility, but probably Caruana didn't want to go for it, because you're opening the g-file, and in a sense you're giving counterplay to your opponent. So he continued instead of that with rook to e5. Now we saw once again queen goes to b3, and now a6, stopping knight to b5, and we have bishop to f4. Rook captures on e1 and rook captures on e1. So Robson managed to exchange one pair of rooks, but still Caruana has the bishop pair. Like yesterday in that game that I showed you, also Topalo went into the endgame, tried to go into the endgame where he has a bishop pair, in order to just to play that endgame to show that the bishop pair in the open position could be very strong. Once again, we see today that Caruana also gives up a pawn just to play an endgame with the bishop pair. So he isn't too much bothered. So that is the main point. In the end, that as a grandmaster and a player of that caliber, he is feeling comfortable playing this game. Isn't really being bothered by the fact that he is a pawn down, because, as I've said multiple times already, and the bishop pair is quite strong in this position. Queen to d7 and now bishop to e5. Just because of that, Robson of course wants to exchange at least one bishop. We have rook to e8 stopping that for the moment, and now f4. And now Caruana just moves the bishop out of the way. As I said, he wants to keep the bishop pair, and now a move for the ages. For some reason, here Robson played a4, and when I say move for the ages, I don't mean it in a good way, because a4, even though it doesn't lose the position, doesn't lose the game immediately, or does it like make some serious material disadvantage, the positional damage is quite big, I would say, because it gives black an opportunity to play b5 at any point. And not just that, the king is on a1. When the a file is open, the attack will start probably there. So Caruana plays now h6, and this h6 is a very good move, because in a sense you want to keep your king safe, because white is keeping his king unsafe. Now you will probably move the bishop, play b5, and rook will come on a8, queen will come on a7, and that should be the whole idea. So here we have rook to d1, so that was one of the possible moves to play instead of playing a4. I mean, if you want to make room for your king, probably a3 would be better, so just in order to have the connected pawns, but playing on a4 doesn't seem that good. Now we have queen to g4, so attacking this pawn and attacking the rook, so queen to b7 isn't possible. And now we saw rook to d2, moving the rook out of the way and defending on g2. And now, one of the possible ideas, b5, even though Caruana here goes for sacrificing one other pawn, he is very confident in his position where he needs to just attack on the a file. Pawn captures, and now for some reason Robson didn't capture queen to b5. So not really sure what was his initial idea with a4. He probably I guess he would have calculated the variation where Caruana plays b5. I mean, even though queen to g4 was played and rook to d2 and h6, I would say it doesn't mean that the position drastically changed. Now he goes queen to d1, but queen to b5 actually was a better move. f6 needs to be played to protect the rook, bishop moves to d6, and maybe he was afraid of something like rook to e1, king to a2, and bishop to f7, but after b3 and king, when he moves to b2, white is completely safe here. I mean, not completely, but fairly safe, and he can continue to play this game. But okay, Robson decided to go for queen exchange, but Caruana of course doesn't want to do it. He plays queen to d7, and he will now attack on the a file. f5, so Robson starts panicking now, and he is looking for some chances on the king side. But now he missed a simple tactic, which is bishop to g5. His idea was to capture, for Caruana to capture on f5, and after knight captures, queen captures, you capture on d8, queen captures on e5, and after these exchanges, this is a drawish queen's endgame, and probably the players would agree for a draw. But Caruana saw immediately that bishop to g5 is an idea, and after rook to d3 only, now he captured on f5. And now after knight captures on f5 and queen captures on f5, the bishop is attacked, he has to move, so bishop to g3 was played, and now rook to a8, and the white position is just falling apart. The only move is king to b1, and now rook to d8. So the rook is pinned, you have to defend it. So king to c2 was played, but now b4. So you want to open up the position in order to just continue with the attack. If you don't do anything, b3 is a move, and then you lose the rook. So here Robson played pawn captures on b4. We have rook to c8 check. You cannot cover with the rook, so king to b3 was played. If you play, maybe better was king to b1, but here king to b3 was played, and queen to e6 is check again. If you go on the a file, then queen to a6, king to b3 only move, queen c4, king a3, and after this you will lose the queen and the rook, and checkmate will follow in a couple of moves. So because of that, after queen to e6, rook to d5 was played, once again moving the rook on this diagonal, but the same idea, pinning the rook, and after king to c4, queen to c6 check, you have to move the king somewhere, and in the end you will lose the rook. So in this position, Robson resigned the game. So in a sense, yeah, the Russian game was played, or the Petrov Defense was played by Caruana, and probably people are starting fearing it, and also it's a very good psychological weapon to use against players. But this game wasn't won because Caruana was playing. It wasn't won because Caruana was playing the Russian game or the Petrov Defense. It wasn't won because Caruana had the bishop pair. This game was won simply because, I think, in my opinion, Robson played a4 for a reason I guess will be left unknown. So yeah, this is pretty much it for this video. Caruana is currently second, Schokland is in the first place, but okay, there are still some games to be played, so nothing is finished yet. That being said, I would like to thank you for watching this video, and I will see you next time.